Hello everyone and welcome to the United Stand Football Daily in a car park. Who'd have thought it? But at least we've got one for you. How are you all doing this morning? Lots to talk about as per usual, just to keep you updated with what's going on with Manchester United. And the news is that David De Gea could well be leaving Manchester United for Real Madrid in as part exchange of Alvaro Morata. How many times have we mentioned that this morning? How many times have we, not this morning, not many times this morning, but how many times have we mentioned it over the last couple of years, last couple of months? It would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous. But apparently this has been reported that Mourinho would be happy to let De Gea go to Real Madrid in exchange for £40 million and Alvaro Morata, which, when you consider we're going to pay about £70 million for Morata anyway, that would be £110 million for De Gea. So it's not particularly bad, but I don't want it to happen. I don't want De Gea to leave. And of course, the flip from that would be we get Morata, we get £40 million, and we get Donnarumma, probably for around £40 million the deal, because he's only got a year left on his contract at AC Milan. And some people would say that's not a bad deal. But the reality is, and I don't know what you lot think about it, AJ says there's no surprise yet, but he's not. It really looks like Riola's been told by Manchester United to go and get Donnarumma, because Mourinho doesn't want players who don't want to be there. Now let's not forget this, that De Gea's situation at Manchester United is a big question mark. I've said for a number of weeks that I think he will leave. You've got people like Ross and a few people on the live comments who say he won't leave. Somebody's going to be right, somebody's going to be wrong. We had a thing a couple of weeks ago where apparently United were going to tell Real Madrid that they wouldn't sell him. As we understand it with David De Gea, he will not publicly go public, funnily enough, to say that he wants to leave Real Madrid. He's done that before. He won't do it again. He won't force the move. Real Madrid like players who force the move because it makes them look very powerful, and then they can just get the deal done. But apparently De Gea won't do that. Mourinho doesn't want players at the club who don't want to be there, but replacing De Gea is very, very difficult. So this development with Donnarumma yesterday, when you actually look at it from a sort of football politics point of view, is very, very interesting, because it's not that normal that a player who's going to be one of the world's best goalkeepers by most accounts to leave AC Milan at 18 was quite a surprise. So they've obviously got something lined up. Whether that's Real Madrid, I'm not convinced it's Real Madrid. I mean, Donnarumma to Real Madrid could easily happen, but I'm not convinced it is, because manager Zidane and the players, they're quite happy with Keylor Navas. So if they sign Donnarumma, is he going to go straight in as a first team player at 18? Or is it a little bit more political, like I said, where this is Manchester United's move through Mini Raiola again, where they know they're going to lose De Gea, but they want to line up a decent goalkeeper as a replacement, and Donnarumma would be that keeper, and also he would be used as a sort of, people who are fans of Romero might be quite happy with that, because Romero would get game time as well. So it is an interesting one to wait and see what happens. 40 million plus Morata for De Gea wouldn't be a bad deal, and then you use that money to get Donnarumma, and ultimately none of us want that to happen. I don't want De Gea to leave. Nobody wants De Gea to leave, but it's about what Manchester United can get. What Manchester United can get if De Gea is behind the scenes wanting to go. I'm hoping that De Gea will stay, because De Gea and Lindelof and Bailly, that's a very firm, strong spine of a defence to start working with next year, and we want that. If you're asking me what I think now, I've always felt De Gea is going to leave, and if and when he stays, and I think there's more chance of him staying now than there was maybe a month ago when I was pretty convinced he was going to go. If he stays at Manchester United, that to me will be like a brilliant signing, because I've always assumed that he would go this summer. I think the writing was on the wall. So if he does stay, it'll be like a new signing. So I hope he does. I really hope he does. Let me have a look at some of your comments, because I can do this. Baby's not here yet, Matt H. I am just about to go to the hospital, but it could be quite a long process, so I'll keep you updated with that. Live Nater says Donnarumma to Real Madrid, please. And Southpaw says all problems would be solved if we just signed Aubameyang. And Mahaba says, Mark, why are you convinced that De Gea will leave? Well, very quickly, it's no secret that he wants to go back to Madrid. I think the fact that he was left out of the Europa League final was just strange. I know a lot of people felt Romero deserved it out of sentimentality, but if there'd have been a few decent chances and Romero would let those chances in, then I think sentimentality would have gone out the window. And I personally would always pick the best goalkeeper in the world, of which De Gea is. I don't think that will have pleased De Gea, and people can say, oh no, don't read anything into that. That's your prerogative. But I think if I was David De Gea, the best goalkeeper in the world, and I'd been left out of United's biggest game in the last 4 years, and I'd been a big part of why Manchester United have been competitive for the last 4 years, then I would have been very put out by that. I think De Gea won't go public, which is very respectable, but I think behind the scenes he wouldn't mind going to Real Madrid. But just because you want to go and play somewhere, there'll be players in Manchester United's squad at the moment who, if certain clubs came in for them, they would go. I'm sure. I'm trying to think of people, and it's very unfair to quote people, but let's just say, well, let me say somebody who's obvious that doesn't want to leave United, but let's just say Ander Herrera's biggest dream has always been to play for Barcelona. I don't think it is, because Barcelona wants him, but players will always have that, but it's whether that club want them, and it's whether Real Madrid have got that drive to go and get De Gea. So it's going to be interesting. Donnarumma, I mean, the reality is, where's Donnarumma going? He's basically said, I'm not signing a new contract at AC Milan. Where's he going? Where is he going? Who needs a goalkeeper? Where is he going? We don't at the moment, unless De Gea goes and then we're front of the queue. PSG have been quoted. Would you go from AC Milan to PSG unless you are just going for money? Which, as I said last night, many footballers and their agents especially are just about money. But if I'm Mini Raiola and I've got a young goalkeeper who can be one of the best in the world and he needs to develop, I would not be sending him to the pub league of PSG. I would be getting him a move to Madrid or the Premier League. Or I would keep him at AC Milan. And AC Milan are going to be very competitive next year. They've really, really, really improved their squad. They're not in the Champions League, but they have really improved their squad. So it's got to be a decent move for me. But we'll see what happens with that one. Juve need a keeper in the long term, says United in the stands chance. My understanding is, and I do follow Serie A quite a lot, is that you would not sell, AC Milan would not be selling their keeper to Juventus, and I'd be amazed if Donnarumma wanted to go from AC Milan to Juventus as an AC Milan youth player. It's a bit like Manchester United selling, not to Man City or Liverpool because the rivalry is massive, but it's not far off that. It'd be like selling somebody to Arsenal or Chelsea. It's a major rival, and that would be a massive kick in the teeth. And AC Milan have got more money than Juventus, so that doesn't make sense to me. But we'll see. I want to bring in a player here before I go back and talk about Aubameyang, because this is probably something that you've not picked up on, and I wish I'd said it last night because it was in my head last night. Andre Gomez, who went from, was it Benfica to Barcelona last summer? I think it was last summer, or maybe it was the summer before. I think it was last summer. He is a client of Jorge Mendes. I think it was last summer. Yeah, it was last summer. Jorge Mendes, obviously the Mourinho's agent. He is a client of his, Portuguese. He's a good midfielder, quite a tall midfielder, sort of a Carrick sort of midfielder, but he's got a bit more mobility. Went to Barcelona last summer. United had been linked to him, and he's basically flopped. He's flopped at Barcelona, and now we're linked to him. I don't think there's anything in it. I don't want there to be anything in it. He's not, again, why would we be picking up rejects from clubs that we want to challenge? He's not had a very good season at Barcelona. And I don't really want him at Manchester United. And again, it's a player that Barcelona want to get rid of so that they can go and get Verratti. And I don't think Manchester United, I don't know what you lot think, but I don't think Manchester United, as Dip2 says, Gomez is bang average. Manchester United should not be funding other clubs so they can buy better players than us. And Verratti would be a very good player. Calvin Kuzma says, I would prefer Arda Turan than Talisca. Oh, Talisca's this bloody Benfica reject who suddenly thinks he's coming to Manchester United because he's at Besiktas because he's mates with Mourinho. Again, that's not the sort of signing we should be making. He's 23, midfielder. If he signs him, I'll back it. But my interpretation of Talisca is just, why did Benfica get rid of him if he's so good? The Turkish league is a pub league. It really is. Obviously, we played Fenerbahce with Van Persie, and they're not they're not that great, and they're one of the best teams there. It's not a great league in Turkey at all. And Nani went there when we sold him, and he got out of there as quick as he could, having ripped it up there and went to a competitive league again. So I don't have much love for the Turkish league. I have a lot of love for the Turkish. I like Galatasaray, and they have a very passionate support. And there were a couple of years ago they were pumping a lot of money into that league to try and make it more competitive. But it's not one of the most competitive there, and you can't judge a player on that. And to be honest, the Portuguese league is better than the Turkish league, and I'm not a fan of that league anyway. David Destea says G1 West. No Fabinho news, David, other than the fact that it doesn't look like we're in for him. So Gomez sort of linked with us, don't want him. Aubameyang, PSG apparently don't want to pay the price. I'd be a little bit... let me just answer that question from Seven Nation. He says, are we linked to Oblak? I'll be stunned if we sign any player from Atletico Madrid this summer for the same reasons that we didn't get Griezmann. Why would they sell anybody? Somebody asked me yesterday, what do you think the chances are of us getting Griezmann either next summer or January? I would say 50-50, and I think a lot of it will come down to who gets the number 7 shirt this year. I mean, some people have said Morata should get the number 7 shirt. No, I'm not convinced about that, but he could do. And as I said yesterday, this Morata deal, I like Morata, and I think he'll be a good player, and I think Mourinho really wants him. But the money that's being mentioned and the wages, it's like we're signing one of the world's best players, and he's not. He's not. I'd say he's in the top 20 strikers in world football, which isn't bad, but I wouldn't put him in the top 10. But the sort of money that's being banded out, you'd think he's one of the best 5 strikers in world football. But he's not in the top 10. He could be in the top 10 if he gets consistent first-team football. And I think that's what we are buying. We are buying potential, and he is very good, but he's not in the top 10 at the moment. And I think people need to remember that. Gea from Everton is a good signing. Look, I think the good thing about this transfer window now, and I think a few of you will have picked up on this as well, is a week ago there was an article in the Independent, and the Monday, so about last Thursday, Friday, there was an article in the Independent saying that Manchester United's 5 targets for the summer were Lindelof, Perisic, Belotti, Morata and Fabinho, and everybody assumes that was going to be the 5 we were going for, and we were like, yeah, that's good, but it maybe just misses a cherry on the cake sort of signing. If you remember watching the United stand 4 nights before that, I did what I thought our top 5 signings would be, and it was Fabinho, Lindelof, Morata, Belotti and Mbappe. 4 days later, we get a paper coming out with more or less the same list. I'm not saying they've copied the United stand, but I think it was just a fairly easy sort of number of names to pick out. When I picked that 5, I said I'd be stunned if we got 3. We've got 1 already. We won't be signing all those players that we think. We won't be signing all those players that everyone said last week. And for me, that's quite an exciting thing, because we will be signing a couple of players that we're not really... We'll have mentioned them on here, and you'll have mentioned them, but then they won't be like... We won't definitely know at the moment that they're coming. And as I said, Everton are making some decent signings, and I like Everton. I like Everton because they are bringing through a lot of young players. And they've bought, or they're buying Klaassen from Ajax, who isn't a United signing. I think people get lost in this sort of thing. Ajax are a decent side, but it's a bit like Tielemans from Anderlecht. They're not United signings. They've got to go to these Monacos and these Everton clubs, the step up, do well there, and then that's when United come in. And people can call it arrogance, but that's the way it's always been. United can't really go and get players that, might be a risk. And Tielemans could be great at Monaco and we buy him in a year or 2, or we try to. And the same with Klaassen at Everton. He might take the Premier League by storm and then we'll be in for him. But that's the way it works. But I like what Everton are doing. Everton have got a couple of players, Gay and Ross Barkley, I think would back up our midfield quite well with a year left on his contract. Renato Sanchez as well. I think we need another midfielder. But we don't know who we're buying at the moment, and the centre defensive midfield position is very important. There's a bit of a meltdown about Matic and Dyer, which I would concur with, but we just don't know. We do not know. Live Nater says Barkley's beyond useless. Look, I know it's all about opinion. That's what the United stand's all about. You don't have to listen to what I've got to say. It's all about opinion. I quite like Ross Barkley, and I think he's got a lot of potential. I just think he's a bit of a headless chicken at the moment, but you put him under somebody's like Mourinho, and he'll sort him out. Sonny Powell says Ander Herrera should be the next captain. Yeah, I would agree, but I heard something yesterday from somebody who's quite close to United. I forget the name of their Twitter account, but they come out with some quite good stuff. And they've been around like some of the fanzines, and they said that Herrera as captain will never happen because a few players in the squad don't like him. And I was trying to think, who would that be? But maybe that's just speculation. I don't know. I love Ander Herrera. And MP makes a good point. Barkley's underrated. Put him around good players and he'll be great. We don't want any late signings, Siddharth. I agree with that. Can I give my opinion on Isco? He's a good player, but he won't be coming to Manchester United. Why isn't Manchester United trying for Alexis Sanchez? I think they probably are, but we just can't get him. As I said to you a while ago, Alexis Sanchez to come to Manchester United would have to be like Robin van Persie, absolutely adamant that he wants to come to Manchester United, because Arsenal didn't want to sell us Van Persie, but Van Persie dug his feet in. Arsenal won't want to sell him again, anyone to anybody again. But it looks like Alexis Sanchez wants to play with Pep, so we'll have to wait and see. Right, I'm going to shoot off. We've covered a lot for you there. Drop a like on the video. Obviously, everything's a little bit raw at the moment because things are ongoing, but thanks everyone for watching. Drop a like. If anything happens today, I will pop out and go live for you to react to that. And tonight we will be live again. It may not be 8:30. It could be around 10 o'clock like it was last night. But loads of you tuned in for that. So we will be live as usual. If it's not 8:30, keep an eye out for around 10 o'clock. But thanks everyone for watching. Do I think there'll be any signings today? I wouldn't have thought Morata will happen. He's getting married today or tomorrow. Perisic could happen. Yeah, but I'm not expecting anything today, but we'll see. Speak to you all very soon. Thanks for watching and have a great day. It's Friday.